Hey folks, Kambui here. We are back with another Cmdlet 101 video. Today we will discuss pipeline. In the last video we saw how to use parameters. Now we will see how to use pipeline along with parameters. You must wonder why I'm doing this kind of an introductory videos for pipeline and parameters. I'm not discussing any commandlets because these concepts you need to know these concepts before I go into actual commandlets. So pipeline parameters, how to manipulate data, how to use the parameters. These will come in handy when we see an actual commandlet in work. So that's the reason why I'm doing this video. There would be another one of these videos that would be where I will talk about PowerShell objects and what are objects, what are properties, what are methods. We will talk about that. But rest assured, the next video where we will look into the first command called the get command. So get commandlet is the first command that we will explore in the next video. For today's video, we're going to see what pipeline is in PowerShell. Pipeline is, I think it's any shell you pick it up, let's say Bourne shell or Corn shell or C shell in the Unix world. Even in the Windows world, the previous command.exe or command.com pipeline was there. So the concept hasn't changed much, but PowerShell, what it has done, it has improved it a lot, and it has made it more object oriented. So pipeline in PowerShell is used to send output stream of one commandlet to the input of another. This is immensely powerful, allows you to manipulate your data and get the desired output as required. And it allows object level interaction, so you can filter data, you can manipulate data, you can change data, and even you can run action based on what is coming from the pipeline. So in the last video we talked about parameters, and parameters, one thing you should remember is that when you are using a commandlet in the pipeline, it should be capable enough, or rather not the commandlet, the properties of a particular or the parameter of a particular commandlet should be capable enough to take the input from the stream which is coming from the pipeline. So we will explore this right now. So to start with, we will use the same commandlet which we have used before. That is the get process commandlet. So I will do get process. Okay, so as it is, if you just run get process, it gives you a dump of all the processes on the screen, right? So this is something which we have seen. However, if you remember, when we ran the get help commandlet, and along with that, if I said get process, so I'm just getting the help file for get process, and I'm just looking for the parameter part of it. So I just want to explore the parameters what we saw in the last video. So if you see here, there is one parameter called the input object, which has the property called accept pipeline input true by value. We are going to exploit this parameters and try to understand what is happening. So if I come here and I'll clear the screen just to be in a center, here I'll say get process, and I'll open a pipeline out here, and I'll say get process again. So I'm not going to confuse you guys, so I'm going to use just one commandlet. So what I'm doing is I'm saying get all the processes in the system, send it across the pipeline, and on the other side of the pipeline there's another commandlet waiting for you to process that information, and that commandlet is also get process. And if I do this, you will get exactly the same result. Why is that? Because if you had seen my previous output where I have run this one, here input object is expecting processes or process type data type to come from the pipeline. So it's using that and it's just showing that information on the screen. So what if I had manipulated this or filtered this data? So instead of running just get process, I could have run get process, and I'm going to get a process by a name. Let's say PowerShell. I'm not going to send everything. I'm going to filter it out ahead of the pipeline. So I'm not filtering after the pipeline. I'm going to filter before the pipeline itself. And I said I just need the PowerShell process of it. Okay, and I'm going to send it, to the pipeline and let the other command handle it. The other command in this case is again get process. So I am getting exactly what I was supposed to get. But let's make it interesting. How about here I do further manipulation and I say file version info. So remember in the last video I showed where you could not use file version, you could use file version user either for ID or name. Similarly here I am using file version info after the pipeline. So now I would see exact location from where that particular process is running and file version info of that particular process, which is PowerShell.exe is also there. So this kind of gives you an idea what this does, but we will explore a little bit more on pipeline. So always remember whatever is coming from the pipeline, the commandlet which is on the right hand side of the pipeline must have a capable enough parameter, that is a parameter which accepts data from pipeline. So that parameter should be there to make it work. So if you just do get process and you send it to something like what would be the let me think of a commandlet. Get process, get transaction. So if you do this, it says cannot find a trace source with the name PowerShell. So the reason it happened is because trace source may have a input parameter. So if I do get help on trace source, and I do a parameter star, so it doesn't know, it accepts pipeline value, but it is expecting a string to come via pipeline value. It's not expecting the dump of a process coming via pipeline. So that is also something you have to remember. If you are using a commandlet after a pipeline, you should know which parameter is accepting pipeline value first and foremost, and what is the type of value it is expecting. Is it expecting an integer coming through? Is it expecting a string coming through? That is something you have to keep in mind. But as and when we will look into this commandlets, we will definitely explore this pipeline as well. So I would do one more thing. So I would say there's another commandlet called select object. So select object, if I first let us explore this. So if I say get help select object, this one is a commandlet which accepts a pipeline value. So I will do a parameter and I will do a star over here. And if you see, it also has an input object somewhere around here, and it is expecting any PS object. Doesn't matter if it is a string, if it is a process class or whatever may be, it is accepting any PS object, and based on that it will select something out of it. So it will do a little bit of filtering over there. So if I clear this and I do a get process and I say select object, and then what I can do is I can select object, I can just select the name or process name and ID. Okay, so now what this command will return is, instead of giving those get process details where you see the handlers and the VM, virtual memories and all those things, now we'll only get the process name and the ID. Okay, so if I filter this out here, that is, it can only do column level filtering, select object. When we explore select object, we will see that. But let's say filter it right over here and say that I'm going to say only the PowerShell process to the pipeline, and there you go. So if I say only PowerShell, down select object has selected a particular column based on what came from the pipeline. So again, I didn't have to specify the input object parameter. As you remember, it's enabled. So if I said input object or input object, if I did this, it will get it will not work, because input object is by default populated because it's coming from the pipeline. So whatever comes from the pipeline, it's passed on to input object as a parameter. So that's about a little bit about pipeline. We will explore this more and more, and you'll get to understand it a little more when we see the commandlets. I just wanted to give you guys a little brief on it because you may not straight away understand why this parameter is used, what are parameters, what are pipeline. Sorry. So we will see the next commandlet, which we'll see in the next video, is get command. It's one of the most important command in PowerShell because it will tell you what are the commandlets which is there in the system. Okay, and so that's a very important commandlet, and it has a lot of parameters set. If you want to know what parameter set is, you can go back to my parameter video. Parameter sets are explained in that video. So it has a lot of combinations which we can run and manipulate the data using those parameter sets. So looking forward to talk to you guys again in that video. And if you like this video, just leave a like. If you're following me, then you can subscribe so that whenever I'm uploading a video, you will come to know from your YouTube homepage. Thank you guys. Have a good day. Bye bye.